Today you are going to drink something that was deliberately contaminated, not by accident, not by neglect, by engineers on purpose, with your safety in mind. Pour a glass of tap water and hold it under your nose. That faint swimming pool smell is not a flaw in the system, it is the system, still working in the last few seconds of a journey that may have taken days. Here is what makes it strange. Your water has already been treated. It has been settled, filtered, and disinfected inside a plant built specifically to remove everything dangerous from it. So why does anything remain in the glass at all? Because the plant is not the risk. The plant is the easy part. The risk is everything that happens after the water leaves. Between that treatment plant and your kitchen tap, there may be hundreds of kilometers of buried pipe. There are joints, valves, storage tanks where water sits and waits, dead-end branches where almost nothing moves for days. Then there is the plumbing inside your own building, which nobody inspects and nobody treats. Water that is perfectly clean when it leaves the plant has to survive all of that in the dark, unattended, for as long as it takes to reach you. So the water is not sent out clean. It is sent out armed. A small measured amount of disinfectant is left behind in the water on purpose. Enough to keep killing things for the entire journey, not enough to harm the person at the end of it. That deliberate leftover has a name. It is called the residual. The World Health Organization recommends that water arriving at the point of delivery still carries at least a small measurable trace of free chlorine. Not zero, a trace. Zero would mean the water is undefended. To understand why anyone would think of this, you have to go back to a time when nobody knew what was in the water at all. In 1854, cholera swept through Soho in London. John Snow, a physician, did something unusual. He did not theorize about bad air, he mapped the dead. House by house, he plotted the cases and watched them cluster around a single public water pump on Broad Street. He could not see bacteria. Germ theory was not yet established. He simply followed the pattern until it pointed at the water. That was the moment water stopped being scenery and became a suspect. But knowing water carries disease is not the same as knowing how to make it safe. That took another half-century. In 1908, in Jersey City, New Jersey, a physician named John L. Leal made a decision that would be considered extraordinary today. He arranged for chlorine to be added to the drinking water of an entire city, continuously at low concentration. The engineer George Warren Fuller designed and built the plant to do it in a matter of months. The public was not consulted. A court challenge followed, and the practice was upheld. Within a few decades, waterborne epidemics that had shaped the history of cities became rare in the places that adopted it. So what is actually happening in your pipes right now? Think of the inside of a water main, not as a smooth tube, but as a surface. Anywhere a surface stays wet, life tries to colonize it. Bacteria settle, attach, and build a thin protective layer over themselves called a biofilm. It is the same process that coats a rock in a stream, or your teeth overnight. The residual is what stops that layer from establishing and spreading through the network. It is not sterilizing your water, it is patrolling it. There is a second invisible defense too, and it is even simpler. The network is kept under pressure at all times, not just to push water uphill, but so that at every crack and imperfect joint, water is always pushing out rather than groundwater seeping in. Pressure is a wall made of nothing, which is why when a main breaks, you get a boil water notice. The pipe did not become dirty. It became unpressurized. Now, here's the part that keeps water chemists honest, because this system has a genuine cost. In 1974, working in Rotterdam, the Dutch chemist Johannes Rook found something unwelcome. When chlorine meets naturally occurring organic matter in water, decaying leaves, soil, the ordinary residue of a living landscape, it does not simply kill and disappear. It reacts. It forms new compounds that were not in the river beforehand, including chloroform. The treatment was creating something. That discovery reshaped water regulation worldwide. These disinfection byproducts are now measured and capped, and utilities work to remove organic matter before disinfecting rather than after. It is a real trade-off, openly acknowledged, and the balance is not close. The measured risk from these byproducts is small. The risk from undisinfected drinking water is cholera and typhoid. Some utilities also switch from free chlorine to chloramine, a weaker disinfectant that survives much longer in the pipe, less punch, more endurance, fewer byproducts. Every choice here is a compromise between kill strength, staying power, taste, and chemistry. So what does failure actually look like? In 2014, the city of Flint, Michigan, changed its water source without applying proper corrosion control treatment. The chemistry of the new water attacked the inside of the pipes, and lead began leaching from the service lines into people's homes. Mark Edwards and his team at Virginia Tech tested water in Flint homes and documented lead concentrations far above the levels regulators act on. The pediatrician Mona Hanna Atisha examined blood test records and found that the proportion of children with elevated blood lead had risen after the switch. Both were initially dismissed. Both were later shown to be correct. The same period saw the disinfectant residual across parts of the network collapse, and an outbreak of Legionnaire's disease that researchers have linked to the water system. Notice what broke there. The source was not the only problem. The pipe was the problem, and the invisible chemistry protecting the inside of the pipe had stopped doing its job. Which brings you back to the glass in your hand. That faint chemical smell you have spent your whole life mildly disliking is the sound of a defense still standing. It means the water in front of you was protected the entire way, through every dark kilometer, past every joint and tank and dead end, and arrived with something still in reserve. Today you are going to drink something that was deliberately contaminated, but the contamination was never aimed at you. It was left there for everything that might have been waiting in the pipe. You are simply the last one to taste it.